The second local talks of the year. We think we're stronger together as community members, and we think when we work together collectively and collaboratively that we can change the world. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if we want to go far, let's go together. It's an African proverb. My friends, we can transform our communities by connecting with each other and by getting to know each other's stories.
I've had times that I've been angry, times that I've been disenchanted. But after I identify and acknowledge, I move to either acceptance or what is the lesson to move forward to the next challenge.
Does our current reality hurt enough to say we can't stay here any longer? Sometimes when it comes to collaboration, we have to first be convinced that what we experience today is not what we were created for, and we long for something more.
Around this room, a couple of people in here are part of what we have lovingly referred to as the village people. We started this, my wife and I, when the kids were younger, this sense of like families doing life together, because we recognized we were in over our heads. Like, we could not do this life of raising these kids on our own. We need to be dialed in as parents, but we are not enough. Our kids need other loving adults in their lives. It takes a village to raise a child. Every single one of us needs a village.
What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? I always had a dream that I would be on a stage at a bar. But in my dream, I was playing guitar, and I was really good. I guess this is a close second, but so grateful for you all to be here today for the second local talks of the year. And overall, we've done, I think, 7 of these now. We think we're stronger together as community members, and we think when we work together collectively and collaboratively that we could change the world. And we could do that just by sitting at a dive bar with great music and great food in connection with each other. It brings me great joy to be here to talk about transformation through connection. I'll lead us off here in a couple of minutes after Carrie thanks our sponsors. And we have some great speakers that are going to be really throwing down and speaking from their heart today. When I got the opportunity, this came into my heart, and to be able to create this, the people that are here today, Kimberly Dahlem, Dave Ficken, and Karl Fay, came right to my heart and my mind about like, who could talk about transformation? Who could talk about transformation through connection in their own lens? And these people that you're going to hear today are really, I hope they speak to you, because they, through friendship with them and connecting with them, they've spoken to me and they made me a better human. So I hope they could do the same for you. We are Love Local Chicagoland. This is the first time that I could actually say this. We've been doing this now for 6 years, loving on our community, supporting small businesses and nonprofits. But as of Thursday, I now can say we are a 501(c)(3). And the goal is to love local, and we're just getting started. So many people that are in the room have been here since the onset. Mark, I'm looking at you. I have this cool piece of art that says we're stronger together in my office, and I believe it. And I believe we're going to be able to create more positive impact in our communities and where we live by being a 501(c)(3). So I'm super excited to continue on this endeavor. But thank you for being here today. You might see the studio too. The studio is something different now. We give that to people that have a voice, that want to be able to make shows themselves. We use it sometimes too, but that studio is very much about empowering people to be able to build their voice, to amplify the voices of the people they serve, to build stronger communities. The root cause of both of these is build stronger communities, but each of them has their lane and what we're able to do. As I say that, Kimberly Dahlem has just Kimberly that's running out of that show as well. So it goes back to all of us have a voice. It's about us being able to use it and curate it. And Love Local Studio is that place for you to be able to sit behind the mics and bring stories to life for the people that you serve. Can we give it up for Mad Cats? So I love Mad Cats personally. I maybe I'm a little biased, but really they've shown up with us in this Love Local journey since day one. Mad Cat you see back there. Hey, Robin over there, and then you have Savio, which is around here somewhere. Woo! Yeah, but it's a great local spot, and they give back to the community. Chicagoland's working with people. It's working with people that want to give back, that want to make our communities better places to be able to live. And Savio and his team at Mad Cats do just that. They do have great music. They have great food. I think you're collaborating with Big Angie's too, right? Right? So a lot of great stuff. Music, trivia. What else am I missing that you guys have here?
We have bingo. We have karaoke. Great bands. Blues jam, jazz jam, rock jam.
Cool. Any dance-offs? Because there's some dancers in the crowd. No?
There's always dancing, but we don't have dancing.
Awesome.
Right here.
All right. I'm gonna take a step back now. Thank you all for being here. I'm looking forward to being able to present here in a minute, but I'm gonna have Carrie, my better half, come up here and thank the sponsors.
Okay, so as you can imagine, things like this don't happen without the support of a lot of people. So I would first like to give a great shout out and thank you to Kathy Facenda. You met her at the door. She's from Gather and Grow Collective. She's got that on her shirt here. It's a space for connection, growth, and belonging. They're for business professionals who want more than networking. This is a place for real relationships and real growth. A place where conversations go deeper. And those of you who are here wanting conversations to go deeper, so obviously that's something that she can help you with. No one has to do business alone, so I think that's powerful in these days, right? Where you feel like maybe you're by yourself, the struggles that you have, the challenges you have, you don't have to do that by yourself. They believe in meaningful growth happens through meaningful relationships, kind of similar to what we're talking about, huh? So no surprise. So Gather and Grow is built on trust, consistency, and connection because we grow together better. So thank you, Kathy. We also like to thank Orle Gallagher of Irish Eyes Design. Orle is a creative partner you didn't know you needed. So as you collaborate with folks and get those connections, you also want to be able to market your company or your business. So she listens to what you want and delivers what you need. Logos, Squarespace, websites, marketing materials, built to look and feel just like you. So thank you so much, Orle. You've likely been caught in his lens, so we like to thank Tom Miller Photography. He's a photographer with a heart. If you need event photography or family photos, think of Tom Miller Photography. He has been with Love Local from the very beginning. He's been at all the events taking photos and capturing the growth from the very start. So we thank Tom Miller. We also have a presenting sponsor, Royal Family Real Estate. It's a local brokerage, the #1 brokerage in Schaumburg and surrounding areas. So if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, they are the people to talk to, Royal Family Real Estate. And so without further ado, you all know him. I don't have to introduce anymore. He's already shared a little bit about the business and his passion. He's going to share a little bit more, so I'll turn the mic over to Jason.
Woo. All right, my friends, speaking straight from the heart on what I have seen and what I feel in the world today. Whoever controls the media controls the narrative. And whoever controls the narrative controls the people. I started this Love Local journey back in 2020. And during that time, we were going into small businesses and nonprofits, and we were helping them tell their story. We were helping them connect to the community. And with COVID and everything happening, we really felt that it was our place to be able to do that because it was important for them to be able to keep their lights on and for our neighbors to be able to support them. We used video, we used social media as medians at the time to really amplify their voices and to get their stories out there. during that time, just like, honestly, you could say it is today, social media, media in general, is very polarizing. And depending on which sources you went to, whether it was social media, whether it was your mainstream news, you were getting different narratives about what was happening in the world. So, as an empathic soul, walking into these businesses and into these nonprofits and getting to meet these people, I had assumptions. And my assumptions really took me from a place of what I was hearing in the media. Was it them too? Is this what I am hearing about my neighbor, this small business owner, this nonprofit leader? Is this them too? So I entered in with this cautiousness that was really kind of took over. But then I got the opportunity to be able to meet them and get to know them. Before I did that, I was taken from the media in general, like this person believes this person believes that, those people believe what those people believe. I got to be really cautious with all this. In some of these cases, I felt like I knew these people before I even walked into their business. But as I got to know them, I noticed that things I was seeing on the media, the narratives that were out there, that wasn't them. They might have had certain beliefs that fall in line with some of the narratives, but it wasn't them. Underneath every difference that we had, different political views, different opinions about what was happening at the time, different beliefs about what was happening at the time, I noticed something completely identical. And that we all wanted to keep our businesses going. We wanted to keep our nonprofits funded. We wanted to make sure that we could serve in our community and help our community be better places to live. And overall, like, we wanted to leave this place better than we found it. That's when it hit me. The news and the narrative given to me wasn't truly showing me my community. It was showing me a version of my community designed to keep me divided from it. And I thought, if I miss this, how many of us are walking past our neighbors every single day, or people in our community every single day, having assumptions about them because of maybe beliefs that they have, but not understanding what their true story is, or only understanding a piece of it, and just like the media and the algorithms want to be able to do, keeping them inside of a box. So my question to you is, as neighbors, as community members, what happens when we take the narrative back? When we work collectively, collaboratively, for people from all different walks of life to be able to join each other in community, to be able to build win-wins and to make our communities stronger places to be able to live. It's a crazy time in our world right now, right? There's a lot of things happening. I also think it's a special time in our world. And I think, to me, it's a blend of both. Things are changing so fast. And if you look at us as a species of humans, we have never been more transparent than ever because of this thing. And our ability to be able to see each other and to really understand each other and understand that we might have differences is at large giving us some growing pains. So we have a lot to learn about ourselves and others. We have a lot to unlearn about ourselves and about others. You would think, on paper, man, we're more connected than we've ever been. We have these phones, we have all these things on here, we're more connected than we've ever been. I'm going to challenge us and ask you, but are we really? If you look at our generation's time frame, let's go back to 30, 40 years ago when the internet came out, right? remember dialing up, logging into your phone jack, letting that noise that comes out kind of like a fax machine kind of take place. I don't know what it would feel like to have 10 minutes to get to the internet now. I don't think I would make it. But all of a sudden, we were connected. We were connected with people in our chat rooms on AOL that had similar beliefs than us. We could buy things online, and all of a sudden we could get our media sources from all different areas throughout our country and throughout our world. It seems like we're more connected. And then you look at the next revolution, our evolution of that, and we got the smartphones, right? The smartphones were connected to the internet, allowing us at the palm of our hand to just be connected to the internet, to the wide world web of anything that we want, all the information that we want, right? We had the Blackberries first, allowed us to get emails and all of that to our phone, and we were going to be really efficient. I remember saying at the time, like, we're not going to have to work that much because it's like our email's right here. We're not going to have to work that much, not knowing that connectedness is really pulling us in more and more to be able to constantly be connected and working with that type of lens. But then you get the smartphones like we have today, the iPhones, the Androids. You get these social, apps in general, but then you get these social media apps. And on paper, it's like, man, we're more connected. I could now be connected with people that I was friends with in high school or I grew up with. I could stay connected to that long-lost uncle that I didn't know very well, but I know he's my uncle and that we're family members. And connect with people throughout the community. We also follow people that believe similar things to us or things that we're interested in. And on paper, it seems like we're more connected than ever. As I tell the story, it's like, wow, we're more connected than ever. But I go back to, like, are we really? Yeah, when we pick up the phone, we might see a celebration of a friend. We might be doing something that brings joy to their life. We might see something with our family member that brings joy and those types of good things. And I think those are the beautiful pieces of how we could be connected with these social media platforms. I'm pretty sure you all feel it too. Anytime you go into this thing, and you go into these social media apps, it feels like the world's on fire. The chaoticness, the division, the anger, the hate, and it could be draining at times, to say the least. What I want people to realize and I want to pull into this story is maybe you know and maybe you don't know. What if that's not by accident? Some of you might know this story from 2021. There was a computer scientist that was with Facebook. She left Facebook. When she left Facebook, she took tens of thousands of documents with her. She testified in front of Congress. And what was revealed was that the algorithm was deliberately designed to keep us angry, because they found that when they could keep us on these platforms longer, they could get more ads sold, and that they could show data to their users to be able to really earn more money for Facebook. But through that work, through the work of Facebook's own research, they found that hateful, divisive, and polarizing content was the easiest to be able to push. And that anger was the easiest emotion to be able to pull out of us humans to keep us on these platforms. So they knew it, they documented it, and here we are in 2026, and it seems like we're still on that same road. The social media platforms took our 24-hour news cycles and it amplified it. Close friends would be like, put it on crack, because it's like, it's crazy, it's too much. So 24-hour news cycle in general is an unhealthy cycle, but when you put it into the palm of our hands and we're connected to it every single day, it really could become a dangerous tool for us. It really confirming our biases, reinforcing our stereotypes, and slowly building walls between those we love and our neighbors and community members without even noticing it. They're keeping us in these echo chambers and in these buckets on these social media platforms and in these algorithms that puts us all inside of a box, knowing damn well that none of us, no matter what our beliefs are fit inside of a box. And through our hearts, we're all uniquely made. So we have the social media. It's crazy. It's nuts. They want us to keep it on there and stay on these platforms to be able to, spread divisiveness, to cure hate throughout us as a society. But on top of that, we're in the middle of this AI revolution, which a gentleman named Seth Godin, he's a PhD from Stanford. Doing research with him and reading and learning from him, he said the AI will change our world more than electricity did. So I think there's a lot of pluses for AI. But I'm here to say, as a content creator and as a storyteller, I'm nervous on how AI can be used to be able to manipulate us and to deceive us and to continue to confirm our biases and in worst case scenarios cause hate or division with other people. Anybody that's in this room, or most of you know me, I'm kind of a dork when it comes to new tools and being able to create, and especially if there's a way to be able to bring and tell stories in it. And I used some of these new apps to be able to create content. One video I made was me getting arrested. It looks just like me. I see Dave Bradwin in there. It was not me, Dave, I promise. That thing got like 2,000 to 3,000 views within like a few hours. So I was like, I'm gonna send this to my mom, right? I sent it to my mom through text message, and 2 minutes later, she calls my wife. It was like, what happened to Jason? Like, he's getting arrested. She's like giggling, like it's AI. But my mom, I came out of her own womb. She thought I was getting arrested, and that artificial intelligence confused her and pulled her into a rabbit hole so much where she had to be able to reach out to Carrie. And then from there, New Year's Eve, I posted a video of me doing a keg stand. While doing the keg stand, I was literally suplexed where I would have broke my neck. But I had numerous people send me DMs that day, and even some people in the comments, like, I hope you're having fun, hope you're enjoying yourself. Not really seeing the context, like, that just wasn't real. Like, for one, like, it's been a long time since I did a keg stand. I'm pretty sure I would hurt myself now. Two, I was dropped on my neck. I wouldn't even be alive if I did it. Because this is a baseline AI. This is something I spent $20 a month for to be able to get this tool. Imagine what type of artificial intelligence could be made from people that have a lot of money or for people that want control. It's important for us to understand that the things that we see online, we have to take them at face value, especially when they're in these algorithms, and certain algorithms can get intense at times, to say the least. All of a sudden, if you're getting things that aren't true on here to be able to confirm what you already believe, whether it's true or not, it can become really, really dangerous. This, to me, is a piece where we need to get out of our algorithms and into our front yards. We know that the media controls the narrative, and if the narrative controls the people, then to me, I think it's really important for us to understand that we owe it to ourselves and to our neighbors to lead with love and offer grace, but to get to know each other. Because no matter what you believe, to be able to keep everybody inside of a box and not bring us together so that we can focus it on supporting each other and helping each other is not going to lead us into a bright place as we go into the future. So, how do we take the narrative back? I think it's pretty simple. I think we do this through connection. I think we do this through showing up for each other, joining in community, just like we're doing right here. I think if we want to really transform the world, it's going to change with each of us. Doing our part, leading with love, offering grace, and getting to know one another's stories and one another's perspective. This isn't the first time human beings have been shaped by media. We've always had propaganda, persuasion, misinformation, and people that were fighting to be able to control the story. What's changed is now it's in the palm of our hands, and we have access to it 24 hours a day. I think about every conversation I had sitting across from someone I thought I had nothing in common with. And every single time when I had a conversation and I got to hear somebody's story, I found common ground. And I think through finding common ground, we can grow together and we can heal together as community members. I know some of you are thinking like, man, I got this uncle that's crazy. He doesn't believe anything that I think. Or I got this friend that is not listening at all. Or how do you want me to go into these conversations? They're not easy conversations. And I'm sitting up here to tell you that I hear you and your feelings are real. But it's important for us to be able to try. This next part of in the last part of this talk, I want to really share with you what I've learned on this journey and how we can connect with people that think like us and then also think differently than us. I've been pretty vocal at times on social media, and some people are like, well, I can be divisive. And I'm like, it's not intended to be divisive. I posted things about political beliefs that I believe. I posted things about my faith that I believe in the narrative that I see happening within our world right now. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One is therapy for myself, and so I guess 3 reasons. Therapy for myself of just processing through this, but I also wanted to know the people that maybe thought similar to me that like, you know, it's okay to think the way that we're thinking. And I think that's important. But the real reason I did it was to be able to talk to people that are different than me. I used it as a fishing technique, to say the least. I would post these things, and I would have people that would come into my comment feed. And no matter if it was politics or religion, and some people would agree, other people would question the things that I was saying. And first I would start really trying to explain what was happening and why I had the point of view that I had. But I quickly realized is that I didn't feel like they were listening to me, and I bet you they felt the same way themselves, that I wasn't listening to them in their views. So I think through good friendships, through good mentorships, I've learned that if we could get out of the algorithm and if we could connect in person, that maybe that's where all this starts. So I made it a point to anybody that I've had conflict with on social media that had differences of opinions to me, was to have coffee with them, to grab breakfast with them, to grab lunch with them. And through that, to really truly try to understand their story with the hopes of having a fruitful conversation. Through this piece, I've learned a few tricks that I think we all could take away from. For when I was going into these conversations, I knew it was important to be present. So I turned my phone off, turned notifications off, I kept it in my back pocket, or I kept it in my car. Tried to get there early. When I was in the car, before I would walk in, I would do something called box breathing, which was pretty much like, do like 4 deep breaths, breathe out for 4. 4 deep breaths, or deep breath for 4 seconds, and then breathe out for 4. And I would do this a few times before going in, knowing that the things that people might say to me might trigger me too, and I might have something to say, and I don't want myself to get triggered or angry. So being present to me, getting there early, looking them in the eye, and intentionally listening to people. We don't have to agree with everybody. From there, listening to them with your whole heart. Curiosity. It's a superpower. When we lead with curiosity to understand where people are coming from and we pull back the onion, we learn that there's things that we could learn about each other's narratives that could help us learn and grow. I'm going to tell you, in order for this to work, presence needs to work, curiosity needs to be at the forefront, but you need to leave judgment at the back door. Through our whole lives, my friends, we've been fed a narrative. And the narrative now, and it came from different sources, the narrative now is in the palm of our hands and in an algorithm that wants to keep us divided. If we're coming into these conversations not listening and wanting just to answer ourselves and we're judging, we're never going to grow and heal as community members. So if we could be present, if we could lead with curiosity, if we could listen, if we could leave judgment at the back door, I'm going to guarantee you find common ground. We have more in common with each other than we don't. Doesn't feel like that sometimes, but I promise it's true. And when we get to hear somebody's story, when we get to hear where their perspective comes from, we can find that our commonalities, although none of us are the same, we can find commonalities. From finding commonalities and connecting with each other and having respect for one another, we can start doing the real work of being able to make sure that wherever we keep our feet here in our local communities, we can start working together for people from all different walks of life with all different views together as community members to start making our communities stronger places to be able to live. As I close out, there's two quotes that I want to bring up, and then I'll bring up our next speaker. This first quote is, "We are more alike than we are unalike." It's from Maya Angelou. This next quote is my favorite quote of all time. "If you want to go fast, go alone. But if we want to go far, let's go together." It's an African proverb. My friends, we can transform our communities by connecting with each other and by getting to know each other's stories. From doing that and leading with love and offering grace and collaborating with each other, we can go really far together. And we can make not just our community a strong place to be able to live, but that ripple effect will spread throughout. I appreciate you all for letting me talk and just kind of speak from the heart. I do think we're stronger together. And I have friends and family from all different walks of life. And what I've learned is a difference of opinion could be a superpower if you're willing to go in and have conversations and looking to build a win-win. Because we all have a perspective that's worth sharing. And when we let our stories be told and we get to hear another person's story, we can grow together. And I think that's just what we need here today. I'm excited because I'm done talking, thank goodness. As I mentioned on the beginning part, the speakers here are fire. I think I'm the rookie out of all these people that are going to be coming up here. And they have huge hearts and wonderful messages. And I've seen them show up with what they're talking about on a daily basis. This next person, or the first speaker after me that I'm going to bring up, is going to be Kimberly Dahlem. She is a local here to Palatine. She is an author of a book called Pivoting with Grace, and she's also a founder of an organization called Mission 18, which allows people that have disabilities, when they age out of the system that we are in, to be able to find purpose. I'm super excited to be able to pass the mic. Here you go.
Hi, excited to be here. Grace is the bridge. Repeat.
Grace is the bridge.
All right.
Sorry.
Great to start. So I'm going to do this a little different. I'm going to read to you a little bit,
Thanks.
chat with you a little bit, tell you a little bit about who I am, and we'll just bring it back in the bridge, all right? I'm going to start by reading a little excerpt from Pivoting with Grace. Today, connection feels like something I chase, and more like something that I live. It's the way I move through rooms, the way I listen, the way I love. It's knowing who I am and letting that grounded place be the invitation for others to meet me there too. Here's what connection has taught me. The most important connection you'll ever protect is the one you have with yourself. No title, no external validation, no approval or applause is worth the price of your own peace. Time is a strange, sacred thing. It rushes, it crawls. It slips through your fingers. It stretches us. I've learned to honor time in all of these forms. Time lost. Time endured. Time rejoiced. Time captured. I believe deeply in renewal. I believe in hope. I believe in change. Nothing stays the same forever. Not pain, not joy, not fear, not peace. And that's actually a gift. Because it means no matter how dark a certain season might be, you're walking it through, and there's always light ahead. For every valley, there's a peak. There's always a way back to connection, and I create it by being grounded in who I am. And by doing so, I invite others to do the same. Life can be hard, and it never gets easier. We just get better at living it. We don't have to do it alone. We do it together, story by story, step by step, heart by heart. Grace is the bridge. Connection is the outcome, and transformation is what follows. So let's pivot. Let's pivot with grace. That was a little excerpt from Pivot with Grace. I released it about a year ago, and it was about just putting some words on a page. It's a little guidebook, and the way that was birthed was I mentor and I coach, and I've dedicated my life to service. I spent over 30 years in the public sector of education, coloring outside the lines. That was actually one of the pictures that I had in my office always. So I could walk the line, and different than Jason, I spent 30 years in conversations every day with people different from me, and the same. But when you came forward to me, you would never know my political views, you would never know my religious views, because I was present with individuals that were with me. So what I want us to do today is flip it to a little bit of andragogy. I spent my entire life in pedagogy, right? How do we serve and grow the little ones? But what we don't talk a lot about is that adult learning theory. I'd like to frame it in 4 frames. I love social media. That's not my frame. But I use it as a platform that I never got on until my husband got sick. He died in 2019. I'm deeply blessed. To have loved, to have lost, to stand on stages to weep a little, and then to move forward. Never forgetting the past, but looking how I've utilized that as a catapult to serve others. We chose to be very public with his story. That's when I got on Facebook. You could have never gotten me on any social platform, media platform ever prior. But I used it as an education piece, as an educator. And folks followed our journey. And I realized that there was grace in the process. I realized that I was grace. I realized that by embodying grace, all the peaks, all the valleys, they're so much richer. Because that connection for us is rich if you let it. But it's up to you. It's up to me. And we always have a choice. And what I find in the adult learning stage that I've been helping people through is some of that bitterness, some of that despair, some of that loneliness that people feel. But quite honestly, it's been beautiful to show grace and breathe grace into others to help give them hope. So when I approach somebody, and I will challenge you to do this in one aspect of your life, I listen, I'm deeply present with them, and then I look at what they're presenting in 4 frames. What is their political frame? What's the structural frame in what they're saying? What's symbolic about it? And then what's that human aspect? And when there's strife, one of those 4, if you picture it like a chair, one of those 4 legs, they're missing, or it's a little weak. And you could find that root cause. And you could rebuild if they choose, if that is their choice. So I wouldn't say the life moment that changed everything was when my husband got sick. We went into it eyes wide open. We learned pretty early that it was a death sentence. But we had 2 little humans, one here, hi Effie, fully our own. And we wanted to be graceful in that process. And so within that, we looked through it in the eyes of pedagogy. What did that mean for learning of kiddos? And how did we bridge that to the adult learning theory of andragogy? And Mark and I chose to do that within Grace. A couple of you in the room knew him. He didn't do things very gracefully. He would go head in. But that was Mark. And I was his balance. I was his yin to his yang. And I would say our 2 kiddos have a piece of him and a piece of me within that and moving forward. But we've used that theory of grace to help them grow. Abby's on a gap year right now, dedicating her life now to help others in the field of mental health, which is pretty cool. And our little guy, we're launching him out of the nest in a short couple months. And he's looking in that physical space to be able to help others. But I go back to those first moments of grace. And we could have used social media in a very, very different way. I could have been bitter. I could have been like, woe is me, this is happening. I'm going to be widowed. I'm being robbed of time. But I made that choice very early on. No. I'm blessed to be with somebody so amazing that the Maker is calling him back for a new assignment. I'm blessed because we got to bring 2 amazing little humans into this world that will carry on the mission of our family name. That's grace. I do remember, though, gracefully sitting at his bedside after he had left this earth, while we were waiting for the ambulance to come to bring him down to Northwestern to prepare him. And I remember saying, wow, life is not linear. Weird that that was like the moment that I knew that. My daughter and I have had conversations as she's grown into adulthood, but grief was not linear whatsoever. I say it's like glitter. It sparkles. It shows up in different corners at random times. And with that, I've chosen to hold it in grace and create what I call a cycle of becoming. And I hope that this could help you as well. Identify what's going on, and then acknowledge it, and sit with it, and ignite your choice of how you want to sit with that. I've had times that I've been angry, times that I've been disenchanted, but after I identify and acknowledge, I move to either acceptance or what is the lesson to move forward to the next challenge or to the next stage. We always have a choice. Remember the second pivotal moment, and we'll talk more joyful things, but the way I got into all this is, he got sick and he died. Was standing in front of the fridge. People were amazing. Community was amazing. He was a police officer in Palatine. I gave in Palatine educationally for my first 15 years, and then my journey took me different places for education to help other areas. But I remember standing in front of the fridge, opening it up. I wasn't allowed in the kitchen. Talk about being blessed. I didn't cook. He was the cook. We had a lot of death lasagnas in the fridge. I think Abby coined that, but because people care for you. What happens? Somebody's sick. They come to help. They feed you. They nourish you. They want to sit with you. They want to hold space with you. And I said, oh my goodness, this fridge is going to empty. This freezer is going to empty. And then what? I get to cook. Not I have to cook. I get to cook. And that was the way that I chose to show up for that one. And have my training wheels on and kind of move through it. And I'm a pretty darn good cook. But that was one of those pieces of transformation and transformation within Grace. And I share these little vignettes just because they've helped, they've worked. I intentionally chose to leave the public education stage because I was being drawn so much to coaching and mentoring a little over 2 years ago. And if I wasn't paying attention to the signals, to the signs, I wouldn't have gone, but I did. Some people thought I was nuts because I wasn't to the sign-off year, if you will, but you freeze the asset, you move on. God provides. And I've used this part of my journey to connect with others when brought to that stage, brought to that table, brought to the conversation. And that's just boomed. And it's amazing, because if anything, I feel like I see and feel more of the energy, not the despair. And that has been super cool. When I connected originally with Jason, and he invited me into his studio, and I said, there's no way. I'm not the lady that wants to be in front and on the stage. I serve others. I evoke stories. And he's like, that's the vehicle to do that. So I went on, I told my story. I've gotten a lot more practice in the last couple of years. Speak to all different types of groups now. But don't bring me to a mixer. Orly's in the room. She branded me. I'm not the girl that you want to invite to a cocktail party. I don't want to come. My social battery's low. And if I do come, I'm going to come late. But I know that about myself. I'm going to come with like 10 minutes left. And I'm going to go into the back because I don't want to be in front. I want to kind of be in the back. But that was part of my adult learning and figuring those pieces out. And figuring that out with Grace. But I choose to stay open, and I have chosen to stay open. So what does it look like? And I jotted a couple little things down. We talked about the conscious cycle of becoming. We talked about the adult learning theory, the 4 buckets. Those are some cool takeaways for you today. But it's showing up when you're not ready. It's saying yes when you want to say no. It's allowing the plan to transform. And it's reading the energy, knowing the energy, maybe challenging yourself when you don't want to be in the energy once in a while, because it might bring change or the new opportunity or the new conversation. I use social media for good. I've played on some of the silly platforms that Jason has as well. My kids think it's kind of wild, but I do. So you can find grace in those pieces, grace in all of that. We are stronger together. Be brave. Be vulnerable. Be joyful. And if you got a story, tell it. Thank you for your time today.
All right, we're going to take a few minutes. Can we go to Kimberly one more time now? Thank you so much, Kim. I am excited to announce the next speaker, Dave Ficken. He is a friend, a mentor. He also runs Link Chicago, which is a nonprofit that helps leaders be able to clarify their vision and their mission so that they can bring beautiful things and love into this world. I can't wait for you all to hear him. I'm done talking. Go ahead, dude.
Hey, all right, fantastic. The question I want to wrestle to the ground with you is this. When does collaboration stop becoming optional? I feel like the idea of collaboration is such a nice cherry on top, where if I have time for it, if it can fit into my schedule after all the important things are stacked in there, after we do all the kids' activities, after I take care of my things and the things that I have to do, then maybe we'll chip in a little bit to collaboration. And so I just want to pose to you that question. When does collaboration stop becoming optional? For me, this is always in front of me. I get to, as you heard Jason share, I get to lead Link Chicago. Link is in 10 different cities around the country, and what we long to see is the headlines in our cities changed. Everywhere we go, we are tired of the headlines that keep coming out of our city. We see the violence, we see the brokenness, we see the heartbreak, and we long to see that transformed. And so that means that we want to see nearly 10 million people served and loved on with an unconditional kind of love that changes the way you think, the way you invest in your family, the way you invest in your marriage and your neighborhood. I mean, the people that you have around you, the way that you can love them. We long to see every single person in Chicagoland experience that. That's nearly a 10 million person challenge. And so for us, collaboration isn't just a nicety. It isn't just something that we'd love to see happen. It's something that keeps us awake at night, and where we know that only happens if we get to collaborate together. And so how do you do that? How do you bring about that kind of collaboration? Well, if you're a note taker, I've got a couple of things for us to talk about. I want to just highlight 4 elements of collaborative movement that challenge our everyday living. Because usually it's our everyday habits, it's our everyday rhythms, it's the things that we invest in routinely that keep us from collaboration. And so if we could just identify a few ways that we can invest in collaborative movement, maybe the city that our kids get to grow up in, our grandkids get to grow up in, looks a little bit different than what we see today. When does collaboration stop becoming optional? Element number one, first part of collaborative movement is vision. Where are you going? What is it you're a part of that's going somewhere that you long to be at? Now, this is easy to describe because in 27 days, not that I'm counting or anything, our family's going on vacation. And can I just ask you to close your eyes right now? Just imagine palm trees blowing with the breeze, the smell of salt water, the sound of the water hitting the beach, maybe the sound of ice clinking in your beverage that you have there, the smell of the pina colada. Anybody else there? Doesn't that sound so good? I can't wait to be in that space 27 days with some of our dearest, dearest friends. But you know what actually makes that so appealing? That landing place, that destination, that thing, that place that I want to get to, what makes it so appealing is that first, I had to wrestle with the fact that we had, 25 consecutive days of not getting above freezing this winter? You guys, it was like over 500 consecutive hours recorded at O'Hare Airport of not getting above freezing. You know when we were dreaming most about that destination, that vacation? When it was day 20 of those 25 consecutive days of being below freezing. We were thinking about, what does vitamin D feel like again as it gets absorbed into our skin? As we feel the sun once again. Like, we were feeling all of that even though we weren't there yet. Vision is what that destination looks like. What is it your family longs to see happen? What is it that you long to see happen in your neighborhood? How would you describe, what does it smell like? What does it sound like? What does it feel like when the violence, the brokenness, the headlines that keep coming out stop coming out because they're replaced with the things you long to see in your community? That is what we want to be driving us, to steering us, to direct us. But oftentimes we're not there yet, right? Still feels a long ways off. 27 days still feels like a long time to wait. The thing that's important between now and then, and actually getting to that place and seeing it come to fruition, is wrestling with two things. One, does our current reality hurt enough to say we can't stay here any longer? Sometimes when it comes to collaboration, we have to first be convinced that what we experience today is not what we were created for, and we long for something more. That was our winter days in January. That was saying, we need some vitamin D. We need to go somewhere and recharge and refresh and breathe some different air. Sometimes we have to ask the question, if I keep living my life this way and keep spending my time this way and investing my money in this way, will it actually produce the change that we want to see happen in our community? And if the answer is no, then we have to then wrestle with, am I okay with it continuing the way it is? If you're like me, there are far too many examples to show me why it can't stay the way that it is. And the second question about vision is, if it's not spurring on collaboration, right? If our vision and what we want to see happen somewhere down the road, if the fruit of our collaboration isn't demanding collaboration, if it allows collaboration to continue to be just optional, then the question for us to wrestle with is our vision big enough? Because vision usually can leave us at a place where we can just say, oh yeah, I could pull that off. I could do that by myself. I don't need anybody else to be a part of that. And yet, when we talk about collaboration, we want to be contributing to something that is bigger than ourselves. So number one, vision. Where are we going? Is it big enough? The second element of collaborative movement that we want to talk about is our motivation. I remember getting to live in Nashville. My wife and I and our kids just moved back here about a year and a half ago. And in Nashville, we got to do some entrepreneurial work. We got to do some leadership stuff around the country. One of the things that we got to do was actually plant a church that met in a venue just like this, actually. It was maybe just a little bit bigger, but it was such a great place. Every Monday night, Vince Gill would play there. And so we get to hear amazing music and be around amazing people. And when we were getting to be a part of that work, I remember now, looking back on it, just how wrong my motivation was at times in doing that. I kept thinking, well, if we can get this thing going, if I can get this thing going, then maybe I'll get to make a name for myself. We'll get known for what we're doing and how we're connecting and relevantly serving and making a difference in our city. And man, then people will know what we are doing, that it was different, and it'll be notable. Usually, what do they say? Pride comes before the... Very true. That dream didn't get to come to fruition. We learned a whole lot of things. We learned a whole lot about death. We learned a whole lot about brokenness in that season. And at the other side of that comes more humility that says, that helped me ask the question, and I still ask it of myself today, and I still fail the quiz far too often. But the question I had to ask myself is, Dave, are you in this to make a name for yourself, or are you in this to make an impact? And when our motivation is more inward focused than it is outward focused, when it's more about what we get notarized for versus the impact that we get to make, our motivation's in the wrong place. And oftentimes collaboration and connection and working together for something bigger than ourselves, doesn't it require that a little part of you dies? That a little bit of you is submitted to the better part of the whole, that we get to collaborate together? Almost none of our names will be remembered, but generations could inherit a different way forward if we're willing to collaborate. Collaborative movement. Element 1 was vision. Element 2 is what's our motivation. And number 3 is a framework. My hope is that after the next few moments, you might be able to get after some of this within the next hour. In fact, you being here is a big part of it. And what is it you can do in the next hour that can help us continue to invest in and be a part of a collaborative movement? And one way of thinking of it is around the idea of frameworks. How do you frame out movement? What is the framework for collaborative movement? Well, I have a good friend, Eric Metcalf, a part of movements, both here in Chicagoland and around the world, and he'll tell you that networks are the backbone of movement. And so I just want to invite you to think about the networks that you're a part of, macro networks, networks, and micro networks. And what do you do in those spaces? Number one, when you're at a macro network, I remember taking our kids to their first Cubs game last fall. As a kid, I never thought that I'd get to go to a Cubs playoff game, mostly because the Cubs never go to the playoffs. But then, secondly, because I had moved away and I didn't think I'd get to come back and be a part of those games. But I remember sitting next to people I've never met before in my life, and we were hugging and high-fiving when the Cubs clinched the wild card against the Padres last fall, sitting up at the very last row in the upper deck, and everybody, man, we are all on the same team. When you're a part of macro networks, when you get to be in that stadium environment, when it's you and hundreds of people, when it's lots of people leaning into the same thing, that's where we get to celebrate. Are you a part of a macro network that's celebrating some of the grassroots things that you're seeing? Then you come down to the network. This is where you collaborate. And the question here is, who is building with you? Who's building with you? What does it look like for you to lean into challenges together? To learn about the different groups and the different people that already have a foot in the door that you can come alongside of. Maybe you're not exercising your entrepreneurial muscles and starting something. Maybe you just get to join in on something that's already happening. You get to serve alongside of people. And then when you get to micro networks, if macro is where you celebrate, if your network is where you collaborate, then micro network is where you narrate. I just had to find another word that kind of sounded like the other words, but it's where you get to tell your story. Like what you heard from Kimberly, the importance of your story. Where do you learn other people's stories? Where do they get to learn yours? More on that in just a second. Those 4 elements of collaborative movement. Number 1 was vision. Number 2 is motivation. Number 3 was the framework of networks. 4 is habits. Collaborative movements are not transactional. They're relational. Whenever we start elevating the process over the people, investing just in the mechanics of the thing, we lose sight of the very reason the networks or the collaboration is there. And that is for the impact of people. And so there's 4 real simple practices within that framework of macro to micro networks that allow us to be able to see collaborative movement happen. And they kind of work from the ground up. So if you think of your micro network, this is where you get to learn how to tell your story, and listen to somebody else's story. Last week we were just gathering about 40 leaders around this very idea of how do you learn to tell your story? Have you ever taken the time to interpret your story, to understand it, to see where grace has been woven in and out of your story? And how that can make a difference in somebody else's life. Did you hear when Kimberly was sharing her story? Did you feel that? The way I mean, maybe you felt it a different way, but like as she's telling her story, it's doing something in your heart, in your soul that inspires you. You have a story worth sharing. Somebody needs to hear your story. So story. Learn your story, share your story, and tell others your story. And what that usually produces is then where you can build those micro networks is you get to make friends. So share your story, build friends, or make friends where your story and their story connects in a way that you get to lean in together. Number 3 is build together. Don't only build your silo. We have enough of those. Build something collaboratively that somehow demonstrates life-changing love to people. Love your neighborhood, love your school, love the people around you. Bless them. Get to be a part of making change in your community. And when you share your story, make friends, build together, you can actually celebrate. Number 4, what's happening in the macro network. Celebrate city transformation. Those are 4 habits. Share your story. Make some friends. Build together. Celebrate the good that's happening. That's greater than yourself. So here's just a couple of questions for you to ask yourself, almost maybe even serve as like indicators of a check engine light, right? Like if we were to ask ourselves, like, is the engine running healthy towards collaboration? Here are a couple of just litmus tests or assessment questions for you to chew on for yourself. Number 1 is this: do I invest more in our processes or our people? Whatever you lead, whatever influence you have, whatever circle you're a part of, wherever you're at in leading your family or your marriage or your business or whatever it is, do I invest more in our processes or our people? How are we valuing people? Number 2 is this: collaboration. And if you've ever tried collaboration, you know that it always works out without any conflict, right? Okay, a few laughters from the people that know that when you try to collaborate, sometimes it burns bridges, right? Sometimes there's conflict and it makes it challenging to be able to continue. If someone has burned the bridge with you over collaboration, the question for us to ask ourselves is, am I willing to keep my side of the bridge open? Or am I going to burn it too? You still have the opportunity to keep your side of the bridge open. And if that person, that organization, ever comes back around and says, you know what, maybe I do want to collaborate. Maybe we should serve together. Maybe we should make an impact together. You haven't burned your side of the bridge. And then number 3 here, just a question for you to ask yourself, and maybe I'll just piggyback off of what Kimberly just shared a second ago. Are you making room for grace in the middle of that collaborative relationship? If you're going to work with people, if you're going to try to collaborate, if you have strong opinions and they have strong opinions, if you come from different backgrounds or if you have different priorities in your life than they do, there's no doubt going to be conflict. Is forgiveness in your toolkit? What is the loudest voice in your ear? And does that voice, speaking to algorithms, Jason, right? What is the loudest voice in our ear, and does that voice speak and model unconditional forgiveness? Because you're going to need it. And the people you work with, and the people around you, and your family, and your spouse, and the people that you have in your life, they're going to need it, and you're going to need to ask for it. So the invitation is to model it. Go first with it. I always think about the fruit that can come from collaboration, and that vision of, wouldn't we love to see the headlines change? Wouldn't we love to see a city transformed? Wouldn't that be amazing to see that happen? And maybe someday we will get to celebrate that. Maybe someday we'll get to be a part of that. There'll be people who maybe that day show up to some banquet or some stadium, or they're high-fiving each other like I was with my boys and strangers around us at Wrigley Field last fall. And there'll be a lot of people that might look at that moment and say, wow, how did this happen overnight? There's no such thing as overnight successes. Every overnight success we see is 20 years in the making, at least. And the conversations that we have and listen to and lean into today matter towards what we want to see down the road. If that's something you want to be a part of, and a network that's being built out towards that, there's some information about Link that's in the bag. Certainly I'd love to connect with you and hang out with you, but I'm just very grateful to share in this space with you. And I know Jason's going to say, hey, let's give it up for Dave, but this doesn't happen unless there's a guy who's courageous enough, a team that is courageous enough to put your necks out there and say, hey, why don't we go against the flow? Why don't we try to create the kind of space that can actually get people out of their algorithms and into their front yards? That's a vision worth getting behind. And so I think it's right for us to just say thank you to Jason and Carrie for your guys' leadership. So let's give it up for them.
All right, now let's give it up for Dave. Thank you, Dave. Great job. Beautiful message. The next person I get to bring up here is Karl Fay. He's a local pastor, he's a local artist, he's a friend, he's a mentor, he's a brother. The reason I say stronger together, support local, love local, we're stronger together, is because the things I've gotten to learn from him. So to be able to pass the mic to him is kind of like a cool honor, man. Do your thing.
Here's this line from A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Fred Rogers is one of my heroes. Okay? This scene, maybe you've seen the movie, right? Sort of a stopper, right? Where it's Tom Hanks narrating, and And he says, all of us have special ones who have loved us into being. Would you just take, along with me, 10 seconds to think of the people who have helped you become who you are? Those who have cared about you and wanted what was best for you in your life. 10 seconds of time. I'll watch the time. Let's do that now. We are at our best when we remember and are cognizant of the people who have loved us into being. I would never have dreamt in my life that I would be standing up in front of groups of people talking to them. It was not my dream or aspiration in life. So you see, I grew up as a feral church kid, dragged along and to all of my mom's rehearsals. She was a part-time church organist and choir director. I fell asleep in the church pews. I ran rampant, and it was a second home for me growing up. During all those years, all I wanted to be was an artist. I liked to be behind the scenes. I am, in fact, an introvert from beginning to end. Even as I step up today, every time in front of people, there's a bit of nervousness. Can I bring something of value in this time? Right? It was in the midst of grief and loss that a major pivot happened. Yeah. Didn't feel like grace, but very much grace was at work in the pivot. And this mom, my mom, Tina, who loved me into being one of those people, she started to become a shell of her former self. A degenerative brain illness, continued to fight aggressively in her body until she was basically, in a prison of her own body. This person who would lead everybody in praise and all kinds of connection and love couldn't even reach out to feed her own face or to give you a hug. And this person who brought so many people together and was the glue of her family then needed family to come to her. Right? So my mom passed after a valiant battle with this illness in 2005. And in the midst of that, all sorts of people in our community showed up. This church that I was raised in, all these people who were as family through those connections, they rallied around my family, and we were completely, the wheels came off the bus. This completely reoriented my story, my own sense of self, and I learned all kinds of things in and through that process, and grief continues to have gifts of grace and wisdom that continue to carry me forward today. So I am married to Kendra. I've been married for about 20 years. I'm a dad of 4 kids. I'm an artist. I'm a pastor of Prince of Peace. I've been serving in that capacity for about 13 years here. And that's kind of a bit of what I'm up to. And a bit indicative of some of the relationships that continue to form me. And people that continue to call out of me the best parts of myself and challenge when I show up with some of the lesser parts of myself and give grace in that space. So I'm passionate about what I'm doing as a pastor and just in general in life, because I witness in and around in our world a sense of unpredictability, and inhospitality, an inhospitable and unpredictable environment. And that seems to be kind of the going rate, increasingly. What kind of feels like the norm. And when things are unpredictable or inhospitable, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to hang out there very long. I want to get away. Because if I don't know what to expect, and in fact, I'm led to believe that, or led to expect that it will be a kind of dangerous or unwelcoming environment, I don't feel safe to be myself. You've done so many things in this time, in this space, all of you, in coming into this room, to create a sense that we could come together as people and feel safe and seen. I'm passionate about how we create environments where people can come in and let their guard down and dare to be vulnerable and dare to connect and dare to dream and dare to seek a positive impact and common good, dare to connect and heal and grow as individuals, and dare to strive toward the flourishing of relationships. I think it's more important now than ever to create and cultivate these kind of environments. Okay? So I've seen this personally on the basis of being loved by important people in my life. I care about showing up for people personally and one-on-one. I was led, as if I didn't have enough other things to do in raising 4 kids and being married and leading a church. Our church was kind of putting forth this additional volunteer opportunity for people in our church. And through an organization called Kids Hope USA, because the elementary school right across the parking lot from us, Lincoln Elementary School, asked us into this kind of relationship. And so I kept hearing these blurbs and then sometimes making these appeals, and eventually I kind of went, I think I need to be a mentor. I think I need to show up for kids in our local school who are in need of that additional support network. I know what it is to be supported in my life, and I know that to whom much is given, much will be expected. Right? And so I got matched up with, now I'm on my 4th mentee. Some of you are doing this mentoring as well. These are kids who've been identified by local social workers as in need of additional interventions, in need of additional support and love and unconditional grace in their lives that changes things. They're in need of adults who would come alongside and enter into their world and look them in the eyes and fiercely believe in them, that they are valuable, that their existence matters, that they have gifts that they can share with the world. We all need people in our lives who love us into being, who show up for us and who believe in us, even when we don't believe in ourselves. And in fact, we're doing all sorts of things to sabotage. Think about those people who've loved you into being, who believed in you fiercely when you didn't believe in yourself. Witnessing the response of these kids, each of these mentees that I've been privileged to share in life with, witnessing the change in their countenance and posture when they start to process that you have come here for me, and you'll keep showing up for me, and Can we keep doing this next year? And you're not here to shame me or to punish me or to expect homework from me or tell me about all the ways in which I have failed. But you are simply here because you care about me. It is transformative. These people who cheer us on and believe in us, and we don't even believe in ourselves. I've seen this as a pastor too, one of the parts of my job, right? I'm an introvert. I would prefer to keep things nice and tidy and stay in my own nice little world of imagination and creativity and building these kinds of things. But I am blessed to be connected to a community that calls me outside of myself and calls me to see the wider world with eyes of compassion and empathy. And one of those aspects of my job as a pastor is that I'm aware of all the people. And my congregation keeps them on my radar, right? So I got these people who are like, oh, have you heard about what's going on with Rose? Yeah. No, I haven't heard about what's going on with Rose. What's the latest? Catch me up to speed. I'm blessed to be connected with all sorts of people who are going through celebration in their lives as well as really tough things. Rose, turned out, was being moved out of her house. No longer able to live independently. She was moved into first kind of assisted living, and I learned upon visiting that she was soon to be transitioning into memory care unit. I walked into the room to visit Rose, and honestly, I was really concerned because she was slumped over and there was no sign of life. That the room was dark. She's in her wheelchair. And so I come around and I'm like, Rose, hello, I'm here. And she's still a little slow, but she like kind of pulls her upper body up and she kind of looks to me and she starts saying all kinds of things that I don't understand. Things that don't seem to have a whole lot of resemblance to reality. And I'm trying to just kind of listen and receive and respond and make eye contact and give warmth and everything. And I can draw on these resources of our tradition and our church. And I'm like, I learned through time with my mom that music is one of those tools to connect. You know the power of music in your life to change your mood? To break you out of a funk? To connect you with other people? Yeah. I start singing one of these hymns that we sing in church, and do you know what? It like interrupts the flow, and there's something that like jogs loose in her mind. And whereas she was kind of glassy-eyed before, I see her mouth start moving to the words of the hymn that I am singing. Beautiful Savior, King of creation. She's doing it very weakly, but she is participating in the music. Whoa! How incredible is this? The music that does not die. We need people who can cheer us on when we don't believe in ourselves, and we need people who will show up for us when we can't get out and seek out the connection that we need. We need these people in our lives, and we're so grateful for all those people. Even just one goes a long way. Viktor Frankl talked about that was all that was needed in the context of the concentration camp to change a person from succumbing to the death camp versus holding on to hope and resilience. Just one person to believe in you. We need these people, and we can be these people for others. I've seen the power of this personally in my life. I've been privileged to be a part of both giving and receiving this. We're at our best. We live into that. I see this in friends and family, though, too, right? So around this room, a couple of people in here are part of what we have lovingly referred to as the village people. We started this, my wife and I, when the kids were younger, this sense of like families doing life together, because we recognized we were in over our heads. Like, we could not do this life of raising these kids on our own. We need to be dialed in as parents, but we are not enough. Our kids need other loving adults in their lives. It takes a village to raise a child. Every single one of us needs a village, right? Regardless of who we are and where we're at. I saw the power, and I reveled in how the village continued to grow over time. So we'd share like meal tables, and we go out and we grab drinks together, you know. We'd gather our families together around common space, and we'd share in quiet moments of life together, and then we'd show up for each other when the wheels came off the bus, and a divorce or an infidelity happened, or when a job was lost, or when a traumatic medical event happened, or when a life situation happened in which a parent died, and sudden changes. And we'd be together through all of that. We love each other through all of that. When we were scared shitless and didn't know what the hell else to do, I saw the power of showing up for each other and loving each other through that dramatic change that we wouldn't choose for ourselves. It's not automatic. And in the fall of 2022, we gathered at our church a whole bunch of community leaders. We invited the government. We invited leaders in that sector. We invited police and firefighters. We invited nonprofit leaders and other churches all into our space. And we were like, maybe if we provide a nice meal, they'll actually come. And we can answer the questions we need to answer. And you know what? They came. And we got into this incredible space. Kind of the making of movements, like Dave was talking about. Where we started to see each other not as competition any longer, but as collaborators for the good of the neighborhood, pursuing the common good together. That we were pursuing something bigger than any of our own personal or organizational survival. We weren't looking to make a bigger name for ourselves. See, when we knew that all of us combined on our best day couldn't solve all the problems and meet all the needs in our community, and yet we were determined to come together and seek to do as much as we could, the whole spirit of the room changed. And what started as sort of a self-interested ask and invitation for us as a church has melded into a new aspect of our ministry. We are privileged to continue to invite community leaders into our space and come together, trying to seek the good of our city. It's a beautiful thing. Friends, we're stronger together. And Jason's here. Which means my time is about up.
Or I'm getting a beer.
Oh, okay, or that. Okay, yeah, all of the above. You can take the pastor out of the church, but you can't take the church out of the pastor, I suppose. And so I would just ask that we could close this time together with a little bit of a prayer. This is the St. Francis prayer. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born again to eternal life. Amen. May you go and be a peacemaker. May you make space for others to be safe and seen. May you seek the common good. Amen? Amen.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much. Give it for Karl one more time. So I should have talked about this beforehand, so I'm learning and growing with the keynote style of these, but we did give you cards. And we thought we would all come up here. If you have any questions or if you want to say anything, please let us know, and we can answer any questions for you. Before I pull everybody up here, because I did not talk about this beforehand like I should have, does anybody have any questions or anything that they want to ask any of the speakers, something that spoke to them? It's okay if not. We won't be like personally offended or anything. Right? We'll just go drink beer and okay, I'll take care of this and Robin. Any questions? Okay, cool. So no need to do that. Orly, do you have any questions? I see cards.
No, I'm just gathering.
You want to make one up so this isn't awkward? Okay. Yeah. I appreciate you all coming. We appreciate Mad Cats and the team of Mad Cats. Support your small businesses, my friends. Those of us that, those of you that have been supported Love Local know that we think small businesses are the backbone of our community, and when we fuel them, when we support them over these corporate chains, our dollars stay here. When our dollars stay here in our local community, we can shape our communities in a more vibrant way than any of us have ever imagined, especially when those small businesses give back locally. We're stronger together, my friends. I appreciate you all coming here for the Local Talks Keynote Edition with Transformation Through Connection. Have a great day. Peace.